right, welcome back, yogis. Thank you for joining me. My name's Alex. Today we're going to be doing a full body stretch. I have a strap with me, so if you have a strap or maybe a towel or a t-shirt or anything you can use to help hook and stretch your legs. And let's begin. Starting in child's pose, kneeling position. Big toes touching, top of your ankles, top of your feet on the floor. Knees can be close or separated. Go for comfort. And try to reach your forehead towards the floor while keeping your hips heavy. If your head doesn't make it all the way down, you can use your hands like a pillow and rest your head on your hands. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of time to breathe deeply and focus on the bottom of your lungs and the backside of your lungs. Not exclusively, but especially. Your internal obliques are kind of the deeper, further back ones around your lower back, and they help you with twisting and they help you with side bending a little bit. But they're also exhale muscles. So when you inhale, they relax and your diaphragm contracts and pushes down. And when you exhale, those internal obliques contract and they help to push the air out. So over the next 5 to 10 breaths, try to breathe deep into the bottom and back sides of your lungs and use those inhales to relax those muscles of your outer lower back. Let's begin to move. Tabletop, inhale, come up to all fours, hands and knees. Cat is a rounded spine. Exhale, tuck your tail, tuck your chin to your chest, and press the floor away from you. Cow is a back bend. Inhale, chest forward and up, reach your tail back and up, create more length than bend. And keep going. Exhale, round the spine and take it in your own tempo. And just notice if there are areas in your spine that feel really mobile, like if your lower back wants to arc very intensely in a small amount of space. Or when you round your spine, if your lower back doesn't move very much and your upper back moves a whole lot. Or if you feel there are areas that are a little stuck, areas that don't move very much, like your upper back when you back bend. Or like I said, your lower back when you round. Be cautious of any existing injuries and see if you can stabilize areas that move maybe a bit too much and liberate areas that feel rather stuck. Three more. Last time. Okay, come back to center. Downward facing dog. Tuck your toes under, lift your hips up. Your body looks like a pyramid. Simultaneously, press your hands down into the floor, forward towards the front of your space, and energetically squeeze your hands at each other so your spine feels long and your shoulder blades feel wide. Keep your hips high, breathe in. Exhale, pivot your heels towards the back right corner of the mat, your toes a little to the left. Now your body is going to try to shift into a plank, a push-up position. Do your best to keep your butt back and up in that high down dog position so you get a little extra stretch under your outer left armpit to your outer left hip. 3, 2, Inhale back to center. And exhale, heels towards the back left corner of your mat, toes a little to the right. Take your hips back and up and continually squeeze your hands at each other so your shoulder blades feel wide. 3. Make sure you can hear me here. There we go. 2. One more. Good. Back to center. Inhale. Supported plank. Place your knees in the ground. Shift forward. And come all the way down to the floor. Lie on your stomach. All right, so if you have any front side shoulder injuries, especially like an anterior labrum tear, be extra cautious with this. In fact, you might want to avoid it. Or you can do the same shape standing against a wall so you don't have to use all the downward force from gravity. Left hand under your shoulder by your chest, right arm straight out to the right. So we'll call it 3 o'clock, or maybe a little lower towards 4 o'clock. Slowly, carefully roll onto your right side. And when you feel comfortable, place the side of your head on the floor. Now, if you're pretty muscular, if you have wide shoulders or tight chest muscles, you might need a little pillow or something to put your head under. So if you're uncomfortable, support yourself and make sure that you get comfortable. Squeeze your fingertips into the floor. Tighten your triceps, your outer arm muscles. And we call it a lateral rotation, an external rotation. Spin the upper arm bone so your right arm's bicep tries to turn towards the front of your mat and your tricep slightly turns towards the back of the mat. We want to feel your shoulder blade comfortably closer to the spine and those muscles at the bottom outer edge of your right shoulder blade engage so you feel a little wider across the collarbones. We have 3 more breaths. Last one. Slow to change, carefully. Bring it back down to your stomach. Right hand under your shoulder, left arm out to 9 o'clock or a little lower, 8 o'clock. Roll onto your left side. Position the torso comfortably. Try not to rush this setup. And then when you feel good, set the side of your head down on either your pillow or on the ground if that feels good. So your chest, to avoid stretching, is going to try to pull your body into a big arc. Your butt's going to try to stick back and your ribs are going to try to flare out. You're going to have a big arc in your mid-spine. So tighten your leg muscles a little, your thighs, your glutes, your inner thighs hug in, and your abs. So already your body's getting a little bit more into a normal straight line. Then put a sliver of a tuck into your tail and draw your upper bottom front ribs into the body. So say that again, a slight tuck of the tail, bottom front ribs integrate. And remember that lateral rotation. Pivot your left tricep towards the wall your feet are pointing at, and your bicep a little bit towards the wall your head's pointing at. Really subtle, but it might feel like your shoulder head pivots outwards. Your 2 lateral rotator portions of the rotator cuff, your teres and your infraspinatus, they engage, and the muscles across your chest soften. 3. 2. 1 more. Okay, carefully roll back down to your stomach. Like we're playing heads up, 7 up. Stack your palms and put your forehead on your hands. We're going to take 3 breaths to the bottom and back sides of your lungs. So a little different focus, similar technique. Again, you might need a pillow or a towel for your head. This time, cactus the right arm out to the right. So your elbow is shoulder height, your forearm is elbow height. You have a nice 90-degree bend. And then ever so slightly pull the hand off the floor. So you feel those muscles at the bottom of your shoulder blade turn on. Left hand under your chest and slowly start to turn to the right. Now, if your right hand needs to come down to the floor, that is okay. But keep that idea of imagining that you're pulling the hand away from the floor. Even if you tent the fingertips, can we get those bottom right shoulder blade muscles to work and your chest muscles to soften? If you can place the side of your head on the floor, please do. And at any point, if you feel pain or pinpointed pressure rather than broad, comfortable pressure, please back off or lay off. Again, you can do this same shape with your body standing against the wall, and rather than pressing into the floor, you press into the wall and pivot your chest. Make good choices for your body today. 4 breaths. One more. Good. Change, please. Roll it back down. Whew. Intense, but nice. Other side, create a 90-degree bend at the elbow. Imagine the hand is trying to pull away from the floor. Not just the hand, but the wrist and the forearm. So you feel that external rotation quality in the shoulder and the strength at the bottom of the shoulder blade. And for me, I'm a little tighter in my chest on this side and a little weaker in my rotator muscles on this side. So I need to take a little bit more time, a little extra care that I'm not overdoing my range of motion and that I'm not underdoing my stability and strength. So listen to your body and make sure you're making nice adjustments for each side. Maybe the left side of your head on the floor. Whew, this one's intense, but not painful. Abs strong, glutes involved, thighs strong, midsection naturally shaped, not forcefully or overly arched. Four more breaths. Let's have one more. Okay. Roll it back down. Hands under your elbows, tabletop, press up to all fours. Okay, so if you have backside shoulder injuries, neck injuries, or a really sensitive lower back or lower back injuries, instead of doing this next one, do a familiar outer shoulder stretch that you've probably done just growing up. Left arm across your chest, right elbow hooks under. Try this for a little while and then change sides when we change sides in our thread the needle. If you feel safe, right arm, inhale, out of tabletop, reach the right arm out to the right. Exhale, slide your right arm underneath your left, place the side of your shoulder on the floor, keep a long neck, and set the side of your head on the floor. If the pressure feels a little intense, keep your left hand by your face and bear some weight in that left hand. Observe your thighs and make sure they're straight up and down or close to it. So more of a tabletop, less of a child's pose. And if you feel safe, left arm, you can reach it forward and a little to the left towards the top left corner of the mat. And tighten your abs. Move your left hip slightly back toward the back of your mat. And move both hips a little to the right so your right knee bears some more weight. One more. With control, left hand by your face. Press up to all fours. If you're doing the other shoulder stretch, change. If you're in tabletop, let's do a cat and cow or two. Break up any stickiness. Let's try the left side. Left arm out and up, breathe in. Slide the left arm under, place the side of the shoulder on the floor, long neck, side of your head on the floor. Observe the thighs, straight up and down or close to it. You can just kind of feel it or visualize it. And maybe the right arm slides forward. Active with the left arm. You can press down through the back of the hand and reach through the fingertips. And then your right hip back and both hips to the left. Hips back and to the left. Introduce a little bit of a tuck into the tail so you feel your front side integrate into your backside. And breathe to your backside. Two more. How you doing? Me? I'm doing great. This is fun. I mean, it looks uncomfortable, but it feels awesome. Maybe not awesome, but it feels pretty good. Okay. Right hand by your face. Tabletop. Have a cat and cow or two. Break up any stickiness. Okay, puppy dog or melting heart. Keep your thighs vertical, tuck your toes, and press back through the heels so you get a little arch stretch. And keeping the thighs vertical, crawl your chest forward. Now, if you're pretty muscular, this can be a little intense. So if it is intense, you can do child's pose as an alternative. Forehead to the floor, or if you get a lot of range of motion, chin to the floor, look forward as long as it does not hurt. Squeeze your hands at each other. Press your hands forward so you feel your shoulder blades widen and slide forward. And then put a little tuck into the tail. And we're breathing. We want to feel some chest stretch and some outer under armpit stretch, but no collarbone pain, no neck pain, no back pain. Now, I'll be honest with you, coming out of this can be a little clunky, so you can shift onto your hands or walk your hands back and press yourself up. Downward facing dog, tuck your toes, lift your hips. Inhale, lift your heels, bend your legs. Exhale, step your feet forward to your hands. Measure 2 fists in between your parallel feet. Ragdoll, bend the knees enough that your stomach is on your legs or close. Option 1, grab opposite elbows and let your head hang between your arms. Option 2, if you're feeling really tender or if you're injured, put your elbows on your thighs like what I'm doing. Tighten your abs, tighten your butt muscles a little, lean forward, and keep your back flat. Option 3, you got to be really smart not to pull, but just to position and breathe. Option 3, interlace your fingers and place your hands on the back of your head. Bring your elbows close so your shoulder blades are wide. And different than pulling your chin all the way to your chest, just slightly tilt the chin in towards your throat like you're doing a slight double chin. So the muscles or the bones at the back of your skull fall away from the rest of your neck. Last one, breathe in. Fingers to the floor. Left leg back, low lunge prep. Step your left leg back, place the knee down, point the toes. Fingers can stay on the floor or both hands on your right thigh and lift your chest. Press down the top of your back foot. Imagine you're kicking it through the floor to the front wall. Tighten your left butt muscles and pull up your abs. Press your hands down onto the thigh or into the floor and lift your back ribs up off of your tail. So the front of your hips lift up, the back of your ribs lift up, and the front of your left thigh feels a lot. Keep the front legs heel heavy and the bottom of your right butt muscles strong. Two more. And change. Fingers to the floor. Tuck the back foot. Step forward. And take the right leg back. Low lunge. Place the right knee down. Point the toes back. Fingers could be on the floor, chest forward. Or make sure your left heel is heavy. Climb up your left leg. Active in the back foot. Press through the floor. Tighten the right butt muscles and lift your abs like you're lifting your belt buckle up rather than let it sink down. And press with your hands so you can pick your back ribs up and forward. Brings your ears over your shoulders a bit more so we're not overarching the midsection. We're supporting a pretty natural frame through the spine. Last one. Fingers to the floor, tuck the back foot, step forward, hip width, parallel feet. Hands on your shins, inhale, halfway lift. Forward fold, exhale. Lizard lunge, step the left leg back. Walk your right foot a little wider so both hands are inside of your right foot. Let's keep the back knee off the floor for now and keep the heel roughly over the toes. Tighten your left thigh muscles, tighten your left butt muscles and your abs. And with the back knee off the floor, do a little exploring. Move the hips forward and back, side to side. Yes, you can color outside the lines a little, but let's be curious instead of aggressive. One more. Place the back knee down, point the toes, lunge your heart forward. And if your lower back is injury-free, walk your torso towards the top left corner of the mat. Lift your inner right thigh up and out, and your toes can turn, but wherever your second toe points, so does your knee. So make sure your foot, your shin, your knee, they're all cooperating and working as one. And your back leg is still active for 3 breaths. Carefully crawl your torso back to center. Heel toe your right foot towards the middle of your mat so your hands can frame the foot. Tuck the back foot and step forward. Step the right leg back. Widen your left foot, hands inside of the left foot. Arms straight up and down or close to it. And the back leg is strong, heel roughly over the toes. Again, when you go to explore, you can mix that up a little, but your starting frame, your back leg is in a neutral rotation. And fiddle with it a little. And place the back knee down, point the toes. If your lower back is injured, stay centered. If you feel safe, crawl towards the top right corner of the mat. Lift your inner left thigh up and out. And again, wherever your toes point, so does the knee. And your back leg stays active, pushing the foot, tightening the glutes, tightening the abs. A little different transition. Curl it back to center. Tuck the back foot, lift the knee, walk your hands to the right, turn and face the long edge of your mat. Adjust your legs so your heels are on the same plane and your feet are parallel or slightly pigeon-toed, toes slightly turned inwards. Yogi toe lock, glue your pointer and middle fingers together and hook the big toe of each foot. Halfway lift, inhale, straight arms flat back. Exhale, bend the elbows away from each other. Move your shoulder blades towards your butt so your heart lengthens forward. And drive down the balls of your feet. Slightly press down your big toe. Ask your calves and thighs to be strong. Maintain that long spine. Halfway lift, inhale. Fingers to the floor, exhale. Heel toe your feet significantly closer. Measure 2 fists between your parallel feet. And slide your heels back so your heels are on the long edge of your mat. So you have some room. Place the knees to the floor. Point your toes and stand up on your knees. So your thighs are straight up and down, knees under hips. Gate pose. Keep your left thigh straight up and down and kick your right leg out. For this one, we'll go toes up. Tighten your right butt muscles. Turn the inner right thigh to the ceiling and lift your lower abs. Right fingers inside the shin, left arm up, breathe in. Side bend over your right thigh. Gently press the fingernails into your inner right shin and use that as leverage to turn your right chest forward so your shoulders are roughly stacked, or at least on the same plane. Press down the top of the back foot, tighten your left glutes and your abs. So you feel that your low back is long and your bottom leg's, left leg's hip is stable. 3, 2, inhale, both arms up. Exhale, change the legs. I'm a little tender, so I'm going fingers to the floor to help me. If you're feeling good, you can do a handless transition. Right thigh straight up and down, left heel, knee, hip, all in line with the right knee. So we're working with one plane. Left fingers inside the shin, right arm up, breathe in. And side bend over your left leg. And if you press the back of your fingers or the tops of your fingers, the fingernails, into your inner left shin, it gives you some leverage to turn your chest and square it up with the front or the long edge of the mat. Then roll that inner left thigh to the ceiling so when you side bend, you don't feel any pinching where your thigh and hip meet. 3, 2. One more. Rise, inhale. Fingers to the floor, knees together, feet together. Sit your hips off to the right and kick your legs out in front of you to the left. So if this next shape is a little too intense, you can do it lying on your back as an alternative. Start with your legs bent, feet flat, hip width and parallel. Figure 4, cross your right ankle over your left thigh. And I have to lift my butt to get my ankle crossed, but then I can set it back down from there. Now we have a tendency to want to slouch back here, that our shoulders shrug up and our chest sinks back. So press down the corners of your left foot, press down with your hands, and imagine your hands are pulling apart so that your chest opens. Squeeze let's look at this. Flex your right toes up the shin, dorsiflexion, and rather than let your foot turn like a hockey stick, pivot your arches on the right foot away from you. So it's like your toes are stacking more and your arches turn less towards you, more away from you. Now, one of the muscles we're trying to lengthen, it will tuck your tail for you rather than stretch. So try to do more of a cow. Tilt the tail like you're trying to bring your pubic bone through your legs towards the floor and lift your chest, more of a cow pose. Squeeze the thigh and ankle into each other. Reach your left butt cheek towards your left heel. Again, keep that arc in the low back rather than tucking and rounding. We're tilting and arcing. Anterior frontwards tilt of the pubic bone. Lower back injuries, stay as you are. You're probably best here. Feeling safe, roll onto your outer left hip. So same shape, you just rolled it to the left. Turn your whole body to face what was the back of the mat and come down to your forearms. Your left thigh, bring it closer to your stomach so your left thigh is parallel to the short edge of the mat and your left shin runs even with the long edge of the mat. Squeeze your ankle and thigh into each other and reach that right knee to the ceiling and then crawl the heart forward and try to get the shoulders as level as comfortable. Please don't force it. We want a similar hip stretch, but a little bit more emphasis on what you feel in the lower back. It should not be painful. 3. 2. 1 more. Carefully press yourself back up, roll back to our seated-like position, and switch out the legs. Right foot down, left ankle figure 4s over right thigh, upward flexion of the toes, and rather than inverting the foot like a hockey stick, evert the ankle so your inner left shin wants to turn up. And when your inner left shin wants to turn up, your inner left thigh can turn out with less pressure in the knees. And notice if you're slouching like I am, press down through the right hip and reach the right butt cheek towards your right heel. Arc the low back rather than cat pose, tuck in the low back, arc it like a cow, and lift your chest up and forward. Your hands, think they're pulling apart so your back muscles engage and your chest muscles widen. Where you are is great if you're injured in your lower back, or roll to the right. Line up your right thigh parallel to the short edge of the mat. Your right shin parallel to the long edge of the mat. Turn your chest and try to bring forearms to the floor, almost like you're doing a forearm plank. Squeeze the ankle and thigh into each other and reach your butt cheeks away from your torso as you take your torso forward away from your butt cheeks. One more. Carefully. Lift yourself back up. Pivot towards that seated-like position. Unhook and lie down to your back. Happy baby, bend your knees towards your armpits. Reach up and grab the outer edges of your feet, or you can hook over the big toes. Bring your heels over your knees and your knees on either side of your rib cage. So when your arms reach up like this, if your shoulders pull in towards your chest, then your chin wants to lift and the back of your neck gets pretty uncomfortable. So press your shoulder blades towards the floor and slightly towards each other. So your chest widens and the back of your neck can lengthen in a comfortable and soft way. Stay here if you have any groin injuries, or breathe in. Bring your left heel towards your butt. Kick your right leg up and out to the right. 3. Take your inner thighs away from each other. 2. Reach your pubic bone through your legs, the back of your hips towards the floor. 1. Change, please. Right knee bends, heel towards your glutes, left leg up and out like a ninja baby. Press through your inner left heel, so it feels like your hamstrings are lengthening through your inner heel. Shoulder blades heavy, groin muscles wide, pubic bone reaching through your legs, trying to keep both hips even in weight distribution. 3, 2, 1 more. Good. Bring both legs into your stomach. We're going to rock and roll and pop up into a ragdoll. If you're just not in that kind of mood, use a fetal position and take yourself up to that standing forward fold. So rock and roll. When you got some momentum, pop up and fold forward. Right leg back. Oh, nope. Left leg back. Left leg back. Lizard lunge. This time place the left knee down, point the toes. Walk your right foot a little wider, hands inside of the foot. Where the second toe points, so does the knee. Make sure they share a line. Option to stay as you are, or left hand, move it up and to the left a sliver. Right hand, reach back and grab your left foot. Push the floor away from you with your left arm. Lift and turn your chest to the right. Then you can toggle the sensation by either kicking with your left foot, tightening your left butt muscles and your abs, or pulling harder. So play with it until you find a nice broad pressure. Last one. Carefully place the back foot down, tuck the toes, step the left foot forward to the left side of the mat, step the right leg back, place the knee, point the toes, settle the left foot's angle and make sure your knee and foot agree. You could stay centered or right hand up and to the right a sliver. Left hand grabs your foot. It is your chest that lifts and turns so you don't twist at the knee or at the hips. We want your right arm to think side plank. Lift and turn the whole chest off that arm bone. And you can kick, you can engage glutes and abs, you can pull, but you can find a nice broad sensation with exploring a little. One more. Place the back foot down, tuck the toes, down dog, step it back, and breathe some life into your hamstrings and your lower back. Camel, place your knees on the ground, measure 2 fists between your knees. It's a similar start. And stand up on the knees. Hands on the high glutes. Inhale, press your feet down, hug your groin muscles in, press your hips forward. Exhale, chest up and back. So we're doing a lot to stay buoyant. You're pressing down the tops of your feet so your thighs think you're trying to straighten your legs, which helps move the hips forward. Tighten your abs so your lower back feels supported. Reach the elbows back so your chest feels open. And lift your chest so each bone in your spine has space. One more. Rise, inhale. Knees together, feet together, sit on your heels. A lot of times discomfort in hero is because your feet are turned in or turned out. So it's worth it to take a peek at the feet, notice the ankles, hug the outer heels in, and try to get straight lines through the inner and outer edges of your feet. Feeling good? Hands to your thighs, chest up, chin slightly down. Feeling a little tender, you can lean your weight into your fingertips and alleviate some of the pressure. Cow face pose. Shift forward to all fours. Bring your left knee behind your right knee so your thighs are stacked, and separate your feet away from each other. Now I'm a little tight today, so I'm going to move my right knee a sliver forward. So there's a little gap from front to back between my thighs. It's going to give me the extra little cushion that I need to get my hips back into the left. Try to sit in between your feet. Now if this is too much, you can put a block or a pillow under your hips. If it's still too much, you can keep the right leg as it is, heel towards left hip, and use your strap to hook your left foot and sit tall. If you have both legs wrapped, we can consider a couple options. Option 1, fingers behind your hips, use it to lift up. Lower back lifts towards belly button, shoulder blades lift forward into your heart is up. Option 2, fold forward over your legs. Change, please. Sit up tall. So if you have one leg straight, one leg wrapped, just switch them out. If you're with me, the right leg is on top. So you're going to do a full 360 to the left. Just pivot on the feet so you don't actually move the feet. You just spin on them. And when you sit down, you're facing the same direction with the opposite leg on top. Did you bring your cardboard? Did you know we were going to break dance? These are the things you got to be ready for. Just kidding. All right, so I got to shift forward and still adjust at a tabletop because if I don't, I'm not as comfortable or as stable. So if you need to as well, it's worth it. And try to sit in between the feet. Again, option to have the right leg straight, the foot hooked, and you're using the strap not to pull forward if you're hooking the straight right leg. You're using the strap to pull up, to lift your back side body into your front side body and stack ears over shoulders over hips. If you have both legs wrapped, you can use your fingers to assist with the same thing, or we can fold forward over your thighs. A lot of us, when we go to fold forward, we just kind of round our upper back and chill. See if you can move your lower back up and forward so you go over your thighs and really lengthen each portion of your spine instead of just collapsing the top. All right, change please. Sit up tall. Unwind the legs out in front of you. They might be a little tender in the ankles, knees, and hips. So be gentle. Gently bang the back of your legs into the floor. Lift the hips, swing them side to side. Bend the legs and shift them side to side. So a couple ideas. Do what's best for you. With your strap handy, lie down to your back. Left leg straight, right leg up. Hook onto the strap. Hook the strap around the right foot, more on the ball of the foot, less on the arches. Hold the strap with your right hand only and do a little wrapperoo around the strap so it's not as hard for you to hold on to. Keep the legs straight up. Reach your outer right butt cheek towards your left heel. When your outer right butt cheek reaches towards your left heel, we want to see your heel turn in and your right toes turn out. Keep that idea, outer right butt cheek reaching towards left heel. Open your right leg only as far as you can keep the lower back long and the left hip stable. You're still reaching the outer right hip towards your left heel, so the rotation in the thigh bone encourages a long lower back, a long right side torso, and a heel that's higher than your toes. 3. 2. 1 more. Bring the leg back up. Hold the strap with your left hand. Give the strap a little wraparoo, still hooked around the right foot. Right thumb into your right hip crease. Left leg strong, 3 to 6 inches maximum. Cross your right leg to the left side body. Press your inner right heel forward. Reach your outer right hip towards the left heel. And gently hug your groin muscles towards each other. 3. 2. Last one. Carefully bring the leg back up. Open the strap, place your left foot into the strap, right leg straight and down to the floor. Hold the strap with your left hand. Reach your outer left butt cheek towards your right heel, so your left thigh spins, toes out, heel in. The rotation happens at the hip. You check your work by watching the heel. And then abduct, abduct, open your left leg out to the left. Still working hard on the rotation quality so that your heel is up, your toes are slightly lower than your heel, and your lower back stays long rather than overly arcing or crunching on the left side body. When I ask your low spine, where your spine meets your hips, is my sacrum happy? Do I have a happy sacrum? Oh, do you? Happy sacrum? That's important. Bring your left leg back up. Hold the strap with your right hand. Give it a little wraparoo. Left hand, thumb into left hip crease as a reminder to keep that left hip heavy. And 3 to 6 inches maximum, take your left leg to the right. Imagine like you're driving through the hamstring, through the inner edge of your left heel, and then melt your left hip towards the floor. Gently hug your inner thighs at each other so your left hip swivels and your hips line themselves up, pretty much even with the short edges of the mat. Carefully bring the left leg back up. Unhook the left foot. Place both legs on the floor. Set a bridge. Bend your legs so your feet are flat. Knees and feet hip width apart. Please do not look side to side. Just follow my voice. Look straight up. Inhale. Press down your feet. Lift up your hips. Turn your palms to face the ceiling and wiggle your shoulder blades a little closer so they bear more weight. They're closer, but they're not shrugged, and if you overdo the action, your neck will feel uncomfortable. Press your inner heels through the floor and gently use your butt muscles to lift your hips. If you feel your knees open wider than your thighs, or if you feel your lower back get uncomfortable, you're using your glutes too much. If your thighs stay as they are and your hips lift and lengthen the front of your body, you're using your glutes a pretty good amount. 5, 4, 3, 2, And change, please. Goddess pose. Bring the soles of your feet together. Let your knees fall outwards. Do a little wiggling and scooting so your lower back has its natural arc. It's not overly arched or forcefully so. Move your feet around until your knees, your groin are comfortable. Then try an open chest position, kind of like a starfish. So reach your arms towards the top corners of the mat. Turn your pinky finger side of the arms up a sliver so your arms rotate, and bring your shoulder blades just a touch closer. And then allow your shoulder heads to fall into the sockets. Allow the backs of your hands to be soft and heavy. Adjust a naturally shaped neck. And let's take 10 breaths. Slowly use your hands to bring the legs together. Slide into our final resting shape, Shavasana. Your legs are straight and separated. Arms along your sides, palms facing up. Take up as much or as little room as necessary. Relax your jaw, close your eyes. And just one time, enjoy a long breath in. Out of your mouth. One thing I love about yoga is, there are different approaches, there are different postures, there's countless ways to put them together. Different tempos, different everything. There's so many ways to approach it. However, it has a familiar vibe. It feels kind of routine, even if it's quite different. And what I love about this is it's a great lesson that just because something might be routine or something might be done regularly throughout your week, doesn't mean that it's necessarily mundane or boring or doesn't capture your attention for the moment. And this little daily lesson of totally appreciating something as unique, even if it is something I do regularly, it helps me. It helps me when I sit down with loved ones. It helps me when I go to wash the dishes and get into a Zen mode. It helps me when I'm doing something that I love, that I'm gifted to do regularly, to not take it for granted. So wherever you are in your life and in your passions, even if there's something that you love very much that you get to do regularly, try to appreciate it each time. And I know that sounds cliche, but it can be very important and easily forgotten. Beautifying your life, learning to love your life, learning to appreciate the choices you make for yourself. It's a practice. So get in there and practice. I love doing this. I feel lucky to spend time with you guys. Rest well and feel better. Namaste.